Here with me is Joe, who heads up the partnerships team for Aftership. Today, he will be talking about creating the best post purchase experience as we head into the busiest time of the year. And I know I already said this before several times that I can't believe it's already at this point in the year. So without further ado, Joe, let me pass the mic to you. If you want to give a quick intro to yourself and to Aftership, either before or after, please feel free to do so in case people tuning in now or watching the recording later can know a little bit about what Aftership is all about.
Great. Thank you so much. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, perfect.
Awesome. Well, great. Well, thanks again, Lindsay, for inviting me to do this today. I'm really excited to talk to you guys. As a quick introduction about myself, let's see if I can go here. Um, my name is Joe Wyatt, and I lead U.S. partnerships and sales here at Aftership. Prior to joining Aftership, I was consulting in the parcel space, so I have a real rich background in shipment tracking and label generation and shipping in general. And while I haven't actually been a logistics manager or a customer experience manager during a pandemic like you guys are facing now, I definitely went through some challenging patches there during Q4, during back to school season, things like that. So I can definitely relate to you. And what I do today is I hope that I can help you guys use shipment tracking, customer notifications, and branded tracking pages as a lever to build customer experience, reduce customer service tickets, and overall just increase your brand awareness in the market. As everything else is uncertain as far as shipping goes. So what I'll do next, I'll tell you guys a little bit about Aftership. I've been with the company for about a year now, and the company's been doing this since 2012. They are leaders in the shipment tracking space. They work with over 10,000 customers on carts like Magento, WooCommerce, Shopify. 500 of those are Shopify Plus customers. And so like integrations are very solid and very quick. We specialize in shipment tracking, like I mentioned, but we also have other products like Return Centers and Postman, which is like a label generation platform. But for today's talk, we'll talk mostly about the logistics shipment tracking. What I wanted to do first before we get into the different ways that I can help build your strategy out, I do want to talk about like what we faced this year so far from a shipping perspective, and what your customers faced. So first off, I wanted to touch on e-commerce growth. As you guys can see here, these are monthly views, year over year increases. So in April, we saw 49% growth in e-commerce. May went all the way up to 78%. June, right at that 76%. And July was actually down to 55%. As you can see across the board, though, huge growth, huge numbers. I'm sure you guys are facing it as well. Although the year started off pretty slow when everyone was kind of uncertain about what would happen with COVID, we have seen significant increases in volume, which in turn, has also affected the shipping and logistics speeds and deliverability services that you guys have probably also experienced. So briefly touching on this, just want to basically show you guys what the trends look like. And, unfortunately, I don't have the magic ball to tell you guys what will happen during Q4 as far as volume goes up, but I do know year over year, last year, e-commerce did grow 20% for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, something around that. But I definitely expect it to be much higher than that this year. I also just saw that I think Amazon moved up their Cyber Monday or their Amazon Prime Day to early October. So that'll be in the next week or two. So that just kind of further adds the strains that we're going to see in the logistics market. So even more reason why you guys should be thinking ahead about how you guys communicate any sort of delays or issues with your shipment to your customers. The next thing I want to talk to you guys about is the impact of the logistics network that we've seen. There's a couple different things that people have been doing to kind of counteract these different changes we've seen in the market. I like to brag on one of my clients, Hat Club, who was primarily retail ahead of this year. And then they actually developed a Shopify store and actually moved all online. And they're actually using their Hat Club retail stores, which you guys have seen in a lot of malls, as small fulfillment centers all over the country. So it's a really crazy, example of how people are being nimble and flexible and changing, with everything that's being thrown at them. Some other examples that we've seen are people offering curbside pickup, same day in-city deliveries, things like that. Unfortunately, not all of the stories have been good. We've also seen a lot of bankruptcies in the market. We've seen companies like J. Crew, JCPenney, Brooks Brothers, Steinmart, close down their retail stores. But the good news is that I do believe that a lot of those are being acquired and moved on to e-commerce platforms. We will see a lot of changes this year in consolidation for those big box retailers that primarily had the retail and physical locations. Um, what I'll do now is talk about, the impacts that we saw to the logistics industry. So I'm sure everyone here is familiar with the delays that we have seen with USPS. And this kind of helps chart out the on-time delivery rates. So this is, 0 to 100%. The higher the peak, that means the better the shipment delivery rates were. So March, you actually saw we were almost, at 95%. And that's kind of when we first started seeing the impacts of COVID and the uncertainty there. As we went into April, you guys saw the volume earlier. E-commerce was growing. More parcels were being put in the network. We also saw people were ordering more and less average order volume. So like more frequency, smaller orders. So people wanted it now and more frequently. So that kind of also led to the increase in demand in the shipping industry. And then you guys can also see here, May, we started to go back up a little bit for our on-time percentage. And then we actually saw the all-time low, which was between June and early July, which made a lot of the headlines, as you guys have seen. And it's also important to note that this delay and these issues we saw with USPS doesn't just affect USPS. It also affects other couriers who hand off for final mile. This is a quick chart to show you guys the difference in transit times between March and July. And one important thing to note here is UPS Mail Innovations, which actually saw the largest increase there. And that's because, they hand off to USPS for the final mile, and USPS prioritizing their own shipments, which led to the increase. I believe it was at about four days in March, and then that increased to 7 during July. So about an 80% increase there. And that wasn't just for UPS Mail Innovations, that's also for FedEx Smart Post. FedEx Smart Post saw less of an increase. You can see theirs was more along like 20 to 30%. But the good news is that we are starting to see all these trends even out, and we're starting to see the market recover. That's not to say that we won't see increased delivery times in the rest of Q4, but at least, we are stabilizing a little bit there. This deep dives into the USPS's late mail. As you guys can see up in the top left, March, and this is a heat map showing from 0 to 45% late deliveries. So it's really a deep dive into that earlier chart where we showed the trend lines for late deliveries. As you guys can see, July was pretty much the all-time worst, when August is trending similarly there. And you can kind of see the geographic breakout of where those delivery issues are. I'd say most of them are away from the main hubs. So as you guys can imagine, a lot of freight is coming in from LA and then being dispersed throughout the country. And so you can get an idea of where those delays are mostly hitting right now. The good news is that, with all the uncertainty in the shipping in Q4 and the transit times, there are ways that you guys can counteract these and actually use these to your benefit. And so that's why I want to talk to you guys about the customer buying journey and how Aftership and Omnisend both fit into it. We all, in the e-commerce industry, spend so much time, money, and effort building out the customer experience all the way up to purchase, I guess you could say. Advertising, getting first-time buyers in, trying to encourage repeat purchases, trying to get those abandoned carts recovered. But not often are we focused as much on the post-purchase. A lot of people tend to think, we'll pay for a higher cost courier like FedEx, and FedEx will do the shipment notifications. But what we really like to do is give the brand the ability to harness those notifications as ways to reach out to the customer, increase brand loyalty, bring them back to repurchase, bring them back to your site to retrack, and overall engage with them throughout the process. We see a lot of decrease in customer service tickets and complaints whenever you're the one who's notifying the customer of the delay instead of FedEx or instead of just a package showing up in their door. I don't know about you guys, but if you guys saw all the packages coming to my house right now, you'd probably be confused and concerned. I think I have like toilet paper from Amazon, then I have a Peloton, so that just kind of shows you where we're at right now during this pandemic. But it gives you an idea of the different things that customers are doing today. Everyone's sitting at home, everyone's waiting for their purchases. We all have our Ring doorbells, and we're all like waiting for those delivery notifications. So as we anticipate these deliveries, it's a really great opportunity to reach out to your customer when they're actively looking for your emails, they're actively looking to get back on your site, and then you can also recommend other products to them through these emails, through these branded tracking pages. Um, so the next thing I want to show you guys is more about how Aftership's integrated. I'll just briefly touch on this before getting into how Omnisend can also be paired with it to help. We support over like 10 different cart applications, but the top there are the ones that we work with most. So like Shopify, BigCommerce, WooCommerce, and Magento. We also can do custom API integrations, but the great thing here is that the integration time is essentially 30 minutes from the time that you start to the time that everything's ready to go. And basically, the main purpose of these integrations is to get the shipments into our platform, and then we basically communicate with the carriers back and forth for any updates or delays they might have, and then we help you guys communicate that to your customer through Omnisend. Um, I'm going to move on now here to the overall like architecture of what a best practice is for post-purchase experience. After the shipment confirmation email, we encourage you guys to use 7 of our triggers that are also available through Omnisend to send out proactive delivery notifications, whether that's in transit, maybe it's arrived at the first courier's hub, out for delivery, available for pickup. If it's held like a FedEx or UPS store, maybe even a post office for international shipments. We also have exceptions. So we go through and we map any sort of delay that the courier passes to us, and allow you to like proactively notify your customer, hey, this is the issue. Here's the carrier's phone number. Please reach out to them. And if you still have issues, reach out to us, kind of direct customer service away from you guys. And then we also have failed attempt. So we all those situations where we might order something that has signature required and we aren't aware of that. So we might not be home, or maybe our business is closed. So the courier typically makes 1 or 2 more attempts to come in. So it's really important to let your customer know that, hey, we did miss you. If you're not available tomorrow, please call the courier to try to reschedule the delivery. So these are kind of some examples of best practices. My emails here are super plain, but luckily we have Omnisend, who you guys can completely customize those through, as well as track the metrics with a little bit better there. And then ultimately, we're going to be, instead of tracking on the courier's website, we're going to be encouraging the customer to click back to your website to track through a branded tracking page. Um, what I want to talk about now is the Aftership and Omnisend integration. And so with those different trigger methods that I mentioned earlier, the integration time is super simple, and you can basically use those different triggers to trigger the email to the customers or SMS. And the beautiful thing is here we see a 70% open rate, a 30% click-through rate, and even a 1 to 3% new order place rate. So as you can see, it's actually really surprising how people are engaging with these emails, and you're getting such good performance off of these because they're expecting it, and it's not just like an abandoned cart where they X out of it. They're actually looking and engaging with your brand and everything. Um, and then, these are going to be set up through the standard transit process. So in transit, out for delivery, and delivered. And those are the expected updates. But then we also have the proactive updates in case if something does happen, where you guys can basically trigger proactive delivery updates where it says, through text or email, hey, we noticed there's a delivery with UPS. Here's the latest status. Please reach out to them if you have any issues. And then you could also even like throw a coupon on there. Hey, sorry for your trouble. If you want to place in your order, here's a 5% discount. Through these different triggers, we see a 10 to 40% decrease in the where's my order tickets. And that's just because, you're letting the customer know instead of them having to come to you guys. We're seeing 12% less delivery shipping complaints. And then we're also seeing 2.6 visits to the tracking page per order. So as you can imagine, if you're sending in a normal shipment about 3 updates, the customers are going to that page 2, 3, 4 times, depending on if there are issues with the shipment. Like I mentioned earlier, ultimately we want to lead the customer to a tracking page that's in your branding. everyone, is used to tracking on FedEx or USPS, and the language differs so much between those. And, for someone who's not a logistics expert, it might get lost in translation there. And it's kind of frustrating sometimes when you can't like easily find the information you're looking for. So what we do is we consolidate that and we normalize all the data across all the couriers. So whenever your customers come, they can easily see when it's going to be delivered, where it's been, where it is. And then they can also subscribe to more updates through that bar at the top there. Additionally, we also support different languages. So especially for those brands that are, international, with customers all over the world, they can just drop down on that top right little world that says English, and we support 22 different languages there. So I want to invite you guys to sign up for a free trial with us. We have a 15-day unlimited trial for Shopify and Shopify Plus users. And then you can actually just go straight through the integration app list on Omnisend to download the Aftership app. You can just scroll right down there and hit enable, and then we'll walk you down through the instructions on how to get started. Really, it's risk-free. I mean, if you guys don't enjoy it or don't see benefits, you guys can always remove it. But I definitely suggest you guys at least try it just to see what sort of metrics come through. I think it's going to be a really powerful tool for your BFCM strategy this year. And I really encourage you guys to reach out to us if you have any questions. Let me see. I think I might have seen some questions come over the chat bar. Let me take a quick look.
Yeah, I think it's just a question about, if we integrate together, or is Aftership through Omnisend? So yeah, you can easily integrate the two together.
Yeah, absolutely. So through the app list, we're supported on there, and you can basically just sign up. I think with us, it takes about 20 minutes, 30 minutes to get the integrations and everything going, and then you just paste the webhook into Omnisend, and you're off to the races.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. So let me just take myself off video quickly. Okay, should be good. Yeah, so Joe, thank you so much. I think this was really insightful because I know what you were touching on before. A lot of people think about how to market, how to get people through the sales funnel to purchase, and then not really think a lot about post-purchase and that experience afterwards. There have been a lot of times for myself where I have purchased, had a great experience up until the purchase. And then afterwards, I'm like, where's my tracking? I don't even know how to reach someone. So it's good to be able to know how to leverage that and how to put something in place where you can reach out to someone easily or just have some information available. And having the brand do it, I think, is a much better experience than FedEx or whatever it is itself sending out the tracking or updates on your shipments. I think it's a much cleaner experience. So yeah, I mean, what do you recommend for brands that are looking to kind of up their post-purchase game? Is there anything, like one takeaway if you could share, especially around the holidays or maybe even after holidays too?
Yeah, I would just say, keep your customers aware and be as transparent as possible throughout the entire process. So, whenever they purchase a product, you're giving them an estimated delivery date and they're going to hold you to it now. It's not like it used to be where, people purchase something and then,
Mm-hmm.
they just wait for it to arrive. People are constantly aware of every single detail of the shipping, transit times and everything. So I would just say being transparent and then also just like notifying them and giving them the ability to reach back and check the status whenever they need to.
Yeah, because then I think that also makes people decide if they want to shop there again or not based on if it's easy enough to contact someone or if you do contact someone and they respond back quick enough. 'Cause I know, again, that's happened to me a few times. I'm sure yourself and other people can probably relate listening, that you reach out to someone, they don't respond back for a while. You're like, okay, well,
Exactly.
probably not gonna purchase there again. So
Yep.
that's definitely a very good strategy to keep in mind, especially around this holiday season, which a lot of people touched on prior to your session, that it's going to be so different and interesting to see what this holiday season brings. And a lot more people are going to be, and what you touch on too, stores or close or closing or limiting capacity. So people are going to be seeing a big, huge uptick in e-commerce and online shopping. So it's going to be more important, I think, than maybe the years past, that people are very transparent about um, communicating about, you know, their shipments and if there are delays. I recently bought something, and due to COVID and everything, there's huge delays. So at least they let me know that, and I was like, okay, fair. But if they didn't, you know, I wouldn't probably be a happy camper.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. And we're also seeing a lot of like inventory issues. So like, delays in production and, you might check out and not even realize that like you're pre-ordering. So there's a lot of things around that too that you got to be careful of to make sure that you set the
yeah,
expectation for the customer, efficiently.
yeah, totally. Okay, awesome. Well, I think that was it, unless you have any final words of wisdom ahead of the holidays or any parting words.
I think I'm good. If anyone has any questions though, feel free to reach out to me, either through my email here or through my LinkedIn. I really appreciate you guys joining, and we can only wish for the best for this holiday season. So good luck to everybody.
Yeah, so again, thank you for sharing your insight. And like I said, and you touched on, it's super important to think about the post-purchase user experience as well. Yeah, so Joe, thank you so much. This was great. And we will definitely chat very soon. And again, the recording for this will be available Monday the latest. And yeah, thank you so much.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
You too.
All
Bye.
right. Bye.